Hi, so today is the 11th of November, 2021. Happy Veterans Day. I mean, I'm medically retired from the Army, so by technicalities, I'm a veteran. And at the same time, I didn't graduate basic training. Now, I'm technically a veteran, not because I didn't graduate basic training. I do have that sort of, it's a whole process in that regard. But having a blue ID card, I'm not technically a veteran. It's a weird dichotomy having a blue ID card because in certain references, yes, I'm technically considered medically retired from the Army. Because of having a blue ID card, though, as it was explained to me when I had initially been issued it, I'm technically active, but not. I'm technically National Guard, but not. I'm technically reservist, but not. I'm technically all these different things in an unofficial capacity, but an official capacity. And so I'm technically these different aspects, and yet not active duty, but I'm constantly active. I'm technically not reserved, but I am reserved. I'm technically not National Guard, but depending on what I have to do, depends on where I'm guarding. And so even though I haven't gone into those details, quite frankly, because nobody has ever asked me, there is not one person who ever asked me what that meant. Not my now dead ex-husband, not anybody I've ever had to show my ID card to. No one. No one has ever asked me, and only because of the transfer situation did I actually have to go into those details, which is a nuisance and an annoyance because it was in the state of Texas, of all areas. And so I kind of figured maybe it was my fault for figuring that people of any state in the entire United States of America, of any state, the state of Texas would have known that. I kind of figured that. I figured because of the guy who had explained to me what my blue ID card in that reference was, how he had been born and raised in Texas. He had like 2, 3, 4, something, 5, however many generations in Texas. I kind of figured that this guy was essentially explaining that everybody in the state of Texas knew this. And so I kind of figured, and maybe that was because I was 18 years old and less than a full year out of my coma. Maybe it was because I still had that subarachnoid hemorrhage in the frontal lobe of my brain. And it was quite fresh. Maybe it was because of a whole bunch of other things that I don't actually, it made sense to me. It made pure sense to me at the time that this guy who had told me about all this Texas stuff, that he was speaking on behalf of everybody in the state of Texas and every military guy. And then over the years, certain things occurred, and it's like, how do you not know? Like, how do you not know what this is? How do you not know that? And then I would deal with certain things in reference to being blamed about the after effects of my head injury. And it was one of those, I don't understand. So the guy who I had out-processed with in regards of my DD-214 and all that sort of stuff, he was just kind of like, we know in the Army that you have a free spirit, shall we say. And I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, I'm 18 years old and I just woke up from a coma. Sure, if that's what you call it. And he was just like, so with, your free spirit and wherever you're going to go and, all that sort of stuff, we in the Army would like to have some understanding because we know about your background. And I was like, oh, what do you know about my background? And the guy was like, well, I know what your clearance is, so we in the Army group overall in a few different situations and sections and all this stuff, we feel that it is important for us to have an understanding. And so you're as cute as a little button. And I was just, okay. And he was like, so you need to go do some stuff. You need to finish your out processing. And when you do your out processing, you got to go figure out how to get back to Illinois. Okay. Well, by technicalities, I went back to Illinois in 2018. I was supposed to go there, apparently, maybe, I don't know. I didn't really understand, I'll admit that. But by technicalities, a free spirit, right? And so I can make fun of myself for that. He didn't say when. In my defense, he did not say I had to do it by a certain time. Now, granted, my paperwork had said a certain date, but I thought that meant my TDRL status. So, or temporary, no, TRDL. TRDL is what it is. So, because it's temporary retirement duty leave. And so, I just kind of figured, well, that makes sense. I'll get there when I figure out how to get there. Because why would it be any other way? Maybe I'm a little weird. I can admit that. I mean, it made sense to me. And in my defense, yet again, I did wake up from a coma less than, well, really 6 months from that point. And in my defense, I still had a subarachnoid hemorrhage in the frontal lobe of my brain. So in my defense, it made perfect sense. And so I thought with that, oh, well then, when I get to Illinois, I get there. And so, it's a little, and so this is 2021. It is not 2000. I know this. I do have the capability of making fun of myself, though. I truly do. I have such a very easy, so easy, I can't even. I can genuinely make fun of myself so easily. So, yeah, I had made the trip to Illinois by technicalities. I got there. It was 2018. Compared to 2000, I was a little late. Most females don't like being late. I could make that joke. So, yeah. But happy Veterans Day. I do take it seriously, though. In all honesty, I take... there is that fact that most people, they know from prior experiences with me that, yeah, I do take my life extremely seriously. I take living extremely seriously. And so, want the best possible in as many ways as possible. And so I do appreciate every guy, and that's not being sexist, male or female. I do appreciate in a lot of ways. So I do have those in my biological family that actually have military experience. I didn't graduate basic training myself, but I also don't believe in stealing valor. I believe in what you earn is what you earn. And so thank you to all of you out there who have done what you have as best as possible for the United States of America, constitutional rights, all that stuff. I really do appreciate it. I wouldn't be able to look as I do or be as I am. And granted, I have my blue ID card and all that stuff, but there are those guys who came before me, and those guys, really appreciate it. Especially since I grew up where I did in New Jersey, and General George Washington, his private office was out back behind the church I grew up going to and was confirmed at. And so, what more of a veteran can you really have as a spirit to grow up and learn from? You guys have a good day. Thank you.